Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this webinar, Farmer Resilience, How Organizations Can Leverage Weather Insights for Impact. I am Ikechukwu Kalu, the Content and Inbound Marketing Lead at Ignitia, and I'll be your moderator for today. Before we begin the webinar, I crave your indulgence to give a grace of 5 minutes to allow our other guests from around the world to join in on this webinar. Thank you. And while we wait, it's important to note that this webinar was put together to share knowledge with organizations interested in leveraging weather insights for impact in 2020. And it will also show these organizations how to go about that. In a few minutes, our speaker, Iranlade Olanipekun, will be taking us through how organizations can leverage these insights for impact in 2020 and indeed beyond. A few ground rules. To ensure a noiseless experience for everyone attending, we'll be muting all microphones except the speaker's microphone. Should you have any questions halfway through the webinar, kindly note it down and drop it in the comments section. It will be attended to. Of course, we encourage you to ask your questions as well as make your contributions in the comments section. That would be sure to get handled. And yes, as is our practice on our Ignitia webinars, there is a free gift waiting at the end of the question and answer segment. The special gift is something that would aid whoever really wants to leverage weather insights for impact in 2020. It will give you a solid launching pad. So this free gift will be distributed after the Q&A segment. So make sure to stick around and you'll be glad you did. So we still have 3 minutes to give some grace for those attending. And so in the next 3 minutes, we'll start the webinar proper. Thanks for being here. I see you, Ari. Ari, you're welcome. Edobong, you're welcome. Frank, Mark, Toke, and wow, we have our Chief Commercial Officer dropping in for this webinar, Rui and Chines. Thank you so much for joining us, Rui.
Thank you, Ike.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So we have 2 more minutes before Iranlade Olanipekun, our speaker for today, would take us through this webinar. Thank you. Okay, so that's let's get started already. I think they'll join us, the other attendees will join us midway through the webinar. So a little profile on our speaker today. Iranlade Olanipekun is a resourceful and very engaging agronomist. He has over 7 years experience in which he rose to the position of Senior Agronomist. Ade, as his fondly called, is very passionate about helping farmers and food producers to optimize their farming processes, to increase yield and mitigate losses. And today, live with us to take us through this webinar, we have Iranlade Olanipekun. Hi, Ade. Thanks for joining us today. Hello.
Hello, Hike.
Hi, Ade. Glad to have
Thank
you here.
you. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to handle this webinar today. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ade. So without much ado, the floor is yours. Take this away.
Thank you very much, Ike. Thanks once again. Before I take us through the webinar, it is important that we know why Ignitia does what we do. Here is our why. The first is the smallholder farmers. Being at the lower rung of the ladder, farmers are the most impacted by the effects of climate change. These range from weather unpredictability to reduced production window, reduced yield, and poverty, to mention a few. We have put highly reliable weather forecasts in the hands of the farmers to optimize their farming processes. This is a huge difference compared to previous years when they had to rely on experience, which are uncertain and could be their instincts. They have thus, through the use of our technology, been able to increase their yield and improve their crop quality. The second reason why we do what we do is climate change. With our technology, value chain actors, that is agribusinesses, NGOs, and smallholder farmers, are building resilience with dwindling natural resources in these uncertain times. Report has it that 96% of smallholder farmers in the tropics use rain as their source of water. Unfortunately, this reality is being threatened by shrinking water bodies, melting glaciers, increased temperature, and deforestation. These unfortunate realities further reiterate the need to maximize the little production window we have, and the sure way to achieve this is to become weather smart. Moving on, the third reason is poverty alleviation. A report of our recently conducted M&E shows that 88% of the farmers who use our technology have not only made changes to their farming practices, but have also recorded yield increase. 79% of these farmers who reported an increase in income have been lifted above the poverty line, and the additional income was either reinvested into their farming, used to pay children's tuition fees, or spent on household. With increase in yield, farmers have more money and they have become more financially buoyant. The last but not the least is food security. The United Nations World Food Programme projects that the number of people facing acute food insecurity could nearly double this year to 265 million due to the economic fallout of COVID-19, and Africa is likely to be one of the worst hit. Of the 135 million people the global report on food crisis indicated were experiencing acute food insecurity, 34 million people were pushed into acute food insecurity by weather extremes. These are the concerns that motivated Ignitia to develop the technology that we have and to help mitigate the challenges that are being faced by farmers day in, day out during their farming processes. Now that we understand Ignitia's background and why we do what we do, let us now jump into the webinar proper as I take you through how weather insights can be leveraged for impact in 2020 and beyond. What most organizations, both NGOs and agribusinesses alike, have in common is that they all have to deal with the weather. This is because weather is vital in accomplishing their set goals, be it food security, economic empowerment for smallholder farmers, or improving sales as an agribusiness, or improving livelihoods as a non-governmental organization. In a survey of 1,000 C-level executives on how weather impacts organizations, more than half of them stated negative impacts on operating costs, number one, depreciation, number two, revenue, number three, business operations, and more. It is thus no secret that having better weather-related insights can greatly improve the extent to which these mentioned organizations achieve their objectives. However, for organizations who operate in the tropics, that is, in the sub-Saharan part of Africa and South America, it becomes especially challenging to get reliable weather insights. Well, this has been the situation until Ignitia, the world's first and most accurate tropical weather forecasting company, came into existence. In the same survey that I mentioned earlier on, an overwhelming majority of executives say better weather-related insights can reduce costs and increase revenue. This is because weather affects at least one revenue. Weather affects in these organizations at least one revenue and one cost metric in most organizations. Weather forecasts, historic rain data, seasonal comparisons, and thunderstorm tracking are all examples of weather insights that can be leveraged for impact by organizations. Now, let me tell you how these weather insights that I have mentioned, weather forecasts, historic rain data, seasonal comparisons, thunderstorm tracking, can be leveraged in 2020 and beyond for you to mitigate risks and to increase your revenue, equally to improve livelihoods. The first that I want to discuss is weather forecasts. With access to reliable weather forecasts, organizations will know what to expect on the ground in their areas or regions of interest. Be you an agribusiness organization, be you a non-governmental organization, or even a smallholder farmer. When you have an idea of what the weather holds for the next 48 hours, for the next 7 days, for the next 3 months, you can plan appropriately. You will know what to put in place. You will be proactive in your plans and in your actions. And whatever it is that is going to happen will not catch you unawares. The information will guide your next line of action for optimum performance. For instance, you can decide on when to transport produce or make sure that storage facilities are well sealed ahead of a heavy downpour. Equally, agri-advisory services can also correctly recommend when seeds should be sown, considering the weather forecast for the coming day. An agri-input company, in the same vein, might advise on when to apply either fertilizer or to spray chemicals to avoid runoff, leading to waste and environmental pollution. And here, these are not the only effects that you could experience should you arbitrarily use chemicals. Another one is revenue loss. Another one is the risk of health. If your smallholder farmer, maybe you are an NGO or you are an agribusiness entity, if your smallholder farmer sprays chemicals in an unfriendly environment, such a farmer gets exposed. And if he's having health challenge and he can no longer perform his farming operations, productivity will drop. And definitely means that you as an entity will be losing revenue as an agribusiness organization, and as an NGO, you will be recording losses in terms of your deadlines and the impact that you want to make on such a farmer, because yield will be impacted at the end of the day. Moving on, historic rain data. Knowing the weather patterns for any area is pure gold, especially to organizations planning for big moves like expansion activities. With historic rain data, agri-input companies can know what seed varieties to procure and send to various locations. Again, agri-advisory services can leverage this insight to advise on the best crops to grow in which areas for maximum yield and productivity. A pesticide company can also know what pests are likely to occur the most in certain areas, and thus plan ahead on the pesticides to produce and send to those areas. Here is what I mean. If you are an agrochemical company and you want to move the volume of your produce out, when you have an historic rain data of a certain environment, you know what it is. Either it is herbicide or avicides or fungicides that you need to move out. Take, for instance, if you are seeing that there is a possibility of disease outbreak, then you move the relevant chemicals out so that when the disease breaks out, already there is a chemical for farmers to take care of these diseases. This ensures that you move more volume of your product out, and farmers are taken care of, food security is taken care of, and equally, you are increasing your revenue. The next is seasonal comparisons. By being able to compare current and past rainy seasons, organizations will be able to forecast yield. This seasonal comparison also helps to see the change in climate in a region and how it will affect business. For instance, an agribusiness can change their marketing plans, an NGO organization can equally change their approach and send more farm inputs, in this situation, fungicides, to areas that have been marked as wetter than usual. Should an area be marked as drier, then you can introduce seed varieties that are drought tolerant or drought resistant. So in essence, when you have these weather insights, you can plan adequately right from the start. You are not caught unawares. Your plans will not derail. Your objectives will be achieved no matter what happens as the season unfolds, because you already know you have made preparations for all of these eventualities. The last but not the least is thunderstorm alerts. Thunderstorm alerts are another important weather insight that can be leveraged for impact. Knowing when a storm is approaching a certain region or area is a huge advantage to put necessary measures in place to prevent losses. Crisis management organizations or emergency response services can leverage this data to save lives and properties by planning evacuations in advance for flood-prone areas, while storage facilities can exploit it to seal up their facilities in anticipation of the storm. Logistic departments of organizations and agribusiness, for instance, can also plan when to transport produce to avoid losing them to the storm. So if you have been successful throughout the season with your farmers and now you are off-taking, you are moving the produce from the farmers to the market, weather insights are equally useful in this process so that you would know when you are to move your produce or not. Take, for instance, Niger State, a northern state in Nigeria, is prone to flood. So in the event that you have to move some of this produce through this state and there's going to be a huge thunderstorm, you should know whether you will be impacted negatively or not. And when you have this insight, you take the necessary precautions and you are covered. So all of the investments that you have done throughout the season will still be safe. Not that when you are just about exchanging what you have labored for the entire season for money is when disaster will happen and you will lose everything as a result of inaccurate weather forecasts or weather insights, as the case may be. Leveraging these weather insights that I have mentioned above can translate to huge advantages for organizations who make the smart move. But that is not all there is to it. The potential of making impact based on insights, in fact, rests on the reliability of the weather insights an organization is acting on. Let me take that again. You as an organization, every decision you make as regards your business, every move you make relating to weather, coming from the information you are getting from the weather insights you are leveraging on. These weather insights, reliability will determine whether what you are doing is a smart move or not. Reason is this: if the weather insights you are acting on is not accurate, then definitely all of the measures you believe you are putting in place will be wrong moves. Actually, you will be increasing an overhead because eventually what you are trying to guide against will still happen. And you must have invested money into preventing these things from happening. So the reliability of the weather insights you are acting on is very, very crucial. If acting on weather insights can improve revenue and chances of achieving organizational objectives, then acting on inaccurate weather insights can result in painful and disastrous losses. The big question now is, where can one get reliable weather insights for the tropics that you can leverage on for impact in this year 2020 and beyond? Well, there is only one word for this: the solution to all the challenges that weather insights or unreliable weather information can pose, and that word is OJO. OJO is a web dashboard that provides organizations with insights into Ignitia's daily, highly accurate weather forecasts for select locations in the tropics. OJO provides these weather insights all in one place. These insights will help the organizations to make informed decisions, boost productivity, and engage better with the people they serve. I want to quickly demonstrate for us how we can use OJO for us to make decisions based on our preferences and our regions. So I will just put in the location of a particular city or a particular, I will punch in the name of a particular city or a particular village, and I will equally encourage our attendees to give me a suggestion of a place, of course, definitely in the tropics, that we can use as a case study to navigate around OJO web dashboard. So here is OJO, and let's say I want to use Abuja, take for instance, as a case study. Now OJO is searching through. OJO will give me the search results based on what the code that I have given it. And now we have here, it depends on what you want to do. We have a satellite view here. You can see that the background has changed. Here we have the satellite view, and here we have the map view. From here, you can choose how you want to view your web dashboard, whether it is satellite or whether it is map. Here are sites that you must have logged into the dashboard, that is your places of interest. It could be the locations of your smallholder farmers that you are engaging with, or it could be the locations of the agribusiness entities that are helping you sell your products. Here is where you can save your current location as one of your sites, and here you can send messages to all of your downlines, either your other value chain actors or your smallholder farmers, as the case may be. Moving on, this is the home button. Here is where you get to log in. You can see my email address and my password. Immediately you log in, Ojo loads, and here we have already a default location. But if I change this, as I said earlier on, to Abuja, now we have a localized area. Let me use the NYSC orientation camp as a case study here in Kubwa in Abuja. You can see now that the weather information that we had in the previous location is totally different from what we have here. So this is what you have. This is the weather information for today. And this here we have is the weather information for tomorrow. So we have a prediction for today that is going to be likely dry, with a maximum temperature of 29 degrees Celsius, minimum temperature of 22 degrees Celsius. Feels like temp of 30 degrees Celsius. This is a measure of the difference of variation between what you feel and what the temperature actually is like. This is humidity, 68%. And if we compare these parameters here with what we have here, you can see the maximum and the minimum temperatures are the same. The feels like is equally the same, but the humidity for tomorrow has dropped by 3%. So now we have 65%. The chance of rain is still the same, 36%. Wind speed, that is the speed with which the wind is moving for this particular area, is 12 knots per hour. The wind gusts compared to today, that is comparing tomorrow and today, there is a difference of 2 knots per hour. And while the direction for today, the wind direction is moving towards the southwest, the wind direction for tomorrow will be in the west. Here is an hourly breakdown of what the temperature, of what the weather insights will look for today. Here we have temperature. So you can see the key we have here. This feels like in green, and then the real temperature in the other color. So from here, you can see this is 4 p.m. today, 17th, and by 5 p.m. it will still remain the same. By 6 p.m. today, it will drop. The temperature will drop to 27 degrees Celsius, and then by 7 p.m. it will drop further, and it will continue dropping until 10 p.m. of today. If it is wind you want to check, the hourly breakdown for the wind, you just click on it, and this is what we have. This is the potential wind gusts, and this is wind speed. So per hour, you can see how the weather is unfolding. If it is chance of rain you want to check, here you go. Here is chance of rain. Precipitation for 4 p.m., the chance that there's going to be rainfall today by 4 p.m. is 36%. It will rise in an hour time to 40%. By 6 p.m., it will rise to 58%. And this, according to what we have here, is the highest percentage for the chance of rain for today. We are still talking about Abuja in Kubwa. I don't know if there has been any suggestion for a particular location that we would like, or that we would like to check for. Humidity, we still have humidity here. And here we have what we call accumulated precipitation for the year. As you can see, starting from January 1, using these keys, you can check for how the precipitation, that is rainfall, and whether it is drizzles or what have you, have been so far this year. Here is, we have forecasts. Here we have the insights segment, which is divided into two parts. We have the weather, we have the insights, and we have the communications. I've already mentioned where you can send customized messages to your downlines. And here we have the insights. This is what gives you an insight into what the weather has been in times past. It could be in the last 3 days. It could be in the last 1 day. It could be in the last 1 week. And here we have rainfall over the past 30 days for a particular site. For this site, Kubwa, that we are talking about, here is the accumulated rainfall for the past 30 days. These and many more are the things that you can do when you are using Ojo as a tool to guide you in making decisions that are weather related for your businesses. When we are still talking about weather, and I am waiting for the network to load, I will still show you more about how we can do this. But this is not really about demonstrating really for you what we can do. You can see what I did. I just zoomed in and I zoomed out. So you can do this. We have a map here that is showing us the Federal Capital Territory and all other states and locations that are surrounding the Federal Capital Territory. The Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria being Abuja. So from here, you can either click on any location of your choice. This is Lafia, and the chance of rain in Lafia is 42%. If you need more information, you only need to click on more info, and this is the weather prediction for Lafia for today and tomorrow. We have today to be likely dry, tomorrow to be likely dry, and these are the other weather parameters. As you can see, you can, like I said, zoom in and zoom out. I'm moving to this part. This is map, and this is the chance of rain that I have just shown you earlier on. According to the hour, this is temperature, that is the predicted temperature in degrees Celsius for each hour, depending on any location of your choice. Here we have the maximum temperature. Here we have the feels like temp that I have just demonstrated to you earlier on. This is minimum temperature. Here we have humidity. Here we have evapotranspiration. This is lightning. This is past rain for your location that you want. And if you want things to develop, you can click on this. As you click on this play button, you will be seeing how weather is changing for a particular location by the hour. Now, this is 7 o'clock, 1900. It has moved to 8 p.m., which is 2000. It will continue to jump by the hour, giving you an hourly breakdown of how weather will unfold for your region. And if you want to change your location anywhere you want, just come to this search bar, punch in the location of your choice. It could be the name of a particular place. It could be the coordinates that you want to punch in. Put that in, and you will be able to do all that you need to do. You will be able to get the necessary information as far as Ojo is concerned. So that is that about Ojo. Moving on with our presentation. Like I have demonstrated to you earlier on, the users of Ojo. Ojo means rainfall. Ojo is a word in Yoruba language that means rainfall. People who are using the dashboard, people who use this tool can, one, get hyperlocal weather forecasts of up to 4 days for various locations, view up to 35 years historic rain data for various locations, compare the current rainy season against the previous rainy seasons, upload custom information about locations, for example, phone numbers of individuals or a variety of seeds grown or fertilizer used, and view these details on a map, just as I demonstrated earlier on. You can view and filter by custom information that has been provided, such as locations, phone number, gender, value chain, any demographic you have already imputed in the dashboard. You can use that to get the weather information for your areas of interest. you can equally send broadcast messages. These are customized messages to individuals based on their select location, forecasted conditions, location, or any other data, value chain, gender that have been provided for the OJO dashboard by your organization. The last but not the least is you can track the movement of thunderstorms visually on the map. OJO is thus that one tool that provides organizations with reliable weather insights that can be leveraged for impact in 2020 and beyond. Please note that I have just only demonstrated, because of time constraints, a little of what OJO can do. If you are interested in getting more demonstrations regarding this, get in touch with us. As I was saying, OJO features a messaging portal that permits organizations to send custom messages to their end users or customers. This is something that you as an organization have total control over. The information you want your value chain actors to get is exactly what they will get. Do get in touch with us through any of the channels that you see showing on your screen right now to book a free live demo to show what your organization can accomplish with OJO in 2020 and beyond. Do not forget, let me quickly remind us that there is a free gift waiting at the end of the webinar. Immediately after the question and answer session, we will be giving out a free PDF OJO, that is Weather Insights for Impact, immediately after the question and answer session. This free PDF will offer details on how to leverage weather insights for impact using OJO. That is all that there is about this demo, about this webinar, leveraging weather insights for impact in 2020, not only in 2020, but beyond 2020, ensuring that you prepare for any eventuality that may arise as you are going through the year and beyond. I will now hand over to the moderator in person of Heike Kalu to take us through to the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for being a part of this webinar.
Thank you, Ade. Like, it's a good thing I muted my microphone. I've just been screaming over here watching OJO in action, but I don't know if if I can try out my location. Do you mind? Can we go back to the OJO screen? I want to try out my location. Like, this is amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Can you check? I'm currently at a place called Shongotedo. It's here in Nigeria.
Okay, let me check for that.
So okay. I don't know. The weather looks like it's going to rain, but let's see what OJO would say.
Should we pick Shongotedo Market or Shongotedo Nigeria?
Ouch. Okay, can you search for Asajon? Asajon. I think that would be a more localized location. Yes, that's it. That's it. Asajon Way, the first one.
Okay.
Yes. Can you click that? Okay.
There it is. The prediction for today.
Rain likely.
Exactly. Rain likely, yes.
Wow, that's accurate. Can I see the hourly
and I think you just mentioned now that it's a bit cloudy.
Yes, it's a bit cloudy.
Oh, okay.
And the time here is somewhere between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m.
Oh, okay. So let's see what. Okay, this is 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. All right. Let me quickly. Oh, hold on.
Can you zoom in a bit, please?
Can I zoom in?
Yes. Can you zoom in a bit?
Oh, yes, of course.
Whoa.
All right, so here is Asajon, right?
Yes.
Asajon way. Okay, so here is the hourly breakdown.
Whoa. This feels good.
So I want to show us the hourly breakdown first. I'll still go back to the map and zoom in so that we can see where Asajon is actually located on the map. So here we have the hourly breakdown for the temperature.
I think it's showing for yesterday, the 16th. Can you switch the date? I saw something at the top right corner of your screen.
Okay. Oh, that will mean that, okay, so that's
so
June
the 17th.
15th.
Can I see for 17th?
Okay. Today is 17th.
Yes.
Yesterday is 16th. And so if we want to check for 17th, that's for 17th. And here is the hourly breakdown.
Wow. Chance of rain.
Okay, moving to chance of rain. The highest will be 84% for today. And that will be by 10 p.m. 8 p.m. is 80%, 10 p.m. is 84%.
Wow. At least I know I have an early night. So let's imagine let's imagine I'm an agribusiness and I was supposed to move produce this evening. With this information, I would have to postpone till maybe say tomorrow before my stuff can leave the warehouse, right?
Yes, definitely. That's right.
Wow, that's a great application. So we have some questions coming in. First of all, Chris is asking if the recording would be available. Of course, this recording will be available and a link will be sent to all the attendees to be able to access it even after now. Then Ade, I think there's a question for you. Edobong Abio is asking, how do I subscribe to Ojo?
Okay, thank you very much. All you need to do is get in touch with us, and then we will make this available for you. Ojo is so friendly to use. As you can see, I have demonstrated equally. You do not need to set a foot into the field before you can see what is going on in the field. So it is impossible that a farmer comes back to tell you that there has been a weather disaster in the field, because you are already seeing everything for yourself. So all you need to do is get in touch with us. We will need your email address, and then a login credentials will be created for you. We will customize that for your own personal use, and boom, you have Ojo on your hands. Very, very easy.
Okay, I think it would be good if you could put up the slide. I see you had a slide that had some of your contact details.
Oh, yes, definitely. Let me switch to that. These are our contact details. You can either send a mail to info@ignitia.se or call the phone number, or you get to us through our website. These are our social media handles through which you can get in touch with us.
Okay, and there's another question here. It's coming from Sokizwo. I hope I got the name right. It says, hello, how can Ojo be more accurate than any other weather forecasting service?
How can Ojo be more accurate? All right, this is about science. Although I am not really the science person, but I have a little knowledge as to the reason why. So when this started, when the whole Ignitia trip started, Ignitia identified that in the tropics, most of the weather predictions, most of the weather insights that are available were handed over to us by people that are in the temperate regions. In other words, what I'm trying to say is there are 3 global weather forecasting models. The first is the US model, which is located and which was designed specifically for the United States and based in the US. The second is the European Union model. The third is the United Kingdom model. These 3 models were specifically designed for the temperate regions. Now, you can imagine when you bring something that has been localized for a region to another region where it is totally foreign, of course, you know that there is not going to be the same accuracy and reliability that has been recorded from where this has been brought down. So what Ignitia did was to calculate, was to look into what was causing the difference between our weather and the weather in the temperate regions. Our scientific model equally has a resolution that can narrow down to a 9 square kilometer range. So when Ignitia was designing this particular model, it was designed for the tropics. It was all of the necessary things were factored into this model, into the science and into the technology. And that is what distinguishes Ignitia's weather forecasts from all of the weather forecasts. I make bold to tell you that every other weather forecasting tool, every other weather forecast that you get to see out there must have used any of these 3 global models that I have told you. These cannot accurately predict the weather for the tropics. Thank you very much. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, there's another question from Chris. Chris says, I apologize if this has been answered. I joined in late. What's the spatial resolution of Ignitia's offering? Okay, this is, I think you touched on this earlier, Ade. So the standard spatial resolution for normal commercial services are usually 9:9. Ade, correct me if I'm wrong. Why I know that our scientific model has a resolution of 3x3 kilometers square. Am I right about that? I believe that information is correct.
Yes, it's 3x3 kilometers, 9 square kilometers.
Whoa. Okay. So that's it, Chris. The spatial resolution of Ignitia is 3x3 square kilometers.
Highly localized.
Wow, that's great. So any more questions? So far, we've had questions from Chris. We've had a question from Sokizwo. We've had a question from Edobong. And if you check the chat box, you would see I have placed an email where you can send any message with any further inquiries you may have after this webinar. Any more questions? So while we're waiting to see if we have any other questions, I think it's best to say that we've taken notice of all the participants in this webinar, and be sure that you'll be getting the free PDF as promised soonest in your inbox. Okay, so I think it's safe to assume that there are no more questions. And in the absence of any further questions, I would like to say thank you to Ade for taking us through this webinar. I've always looked forward to having such amazing and innovative science. Thank you for walking us through how organizations can leverage weather insights for impact. Thank you for everyone who has tuned in and being with us for this webinar. Really appreciate you being here. That said, we've come to the end of this webinar.